Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Jai Shri Ram. Welcome to our next episode in our complete reading of Srimad Valmiki Ramayana. In the previous episode, we saw how Swami Hanuman brings the Sanjivani Parvata and ensures that all the Vanaraviras and SriRamachandra, Lakshmana, all of them are relieved from the pain given to them by Indrajit. Indrajit uses Brahmastra. So there is a wonderful Nama in Hanuman Ashtotra which says Indrajit Prahitamoha Brahmastra Vinivarakaya Namaha. Swami Hanuman is a person who gave relief to all the army from the Indrajit's Brahmastra. Now, Sugriva quickly looks at the Vanarasena when he says, see, Kumbhakarna is dead, 4 of Ravana's children are dead, so now Ravana is not going to come out and engage us in a war, hence we need to do something. You immediately pick up pulkas with their fire torches, go towards Lanka and start burning Lanka. The Vanaras did the same. They went and they started burning the houses of Lanka. In some places, there was sandalwood paste that were being burnt off. The wonderful pearls, they were also getting burnt off. A lot of Rathalankaras were being burnt off. In some places, the armors of the people who were supposed to fight the next day, they were getting burnt off. The armors for the elephants and horses, they were getting burnt off. In some places, the entire homes were getting burnt off. Thousands of Rakshasas, they started coming out now, and some of them were wearing different types of armors. They were all coming out. Some of them were actually drinking, so that was being seen in their eyes. And like this, entire Lanka was burning. The women who were there inside, they started crying, they started coming out. While all this was happening, it was as if the entire earth was on fire. Such huge fire was there. And then in the middle, SriRamachandra and Lakshmana, they both took their dhanush and they came out. SriRamachandra was looking like Rudra, who was angry because the Vanarasena and Sugriva were extremely unhappy for the fact that they were tricked by Indrajit. Instead of sending out the army, Ravana was now using all sorts of tricks, right? And now SriRamachandra comes out. He does a Dhanush Tankara so that the enemy knows as to what is happening. Now Ravana sees all this. He is now extremely angry. Expected behavior from him that he would be angry. He asks his army also to stand at the gates. So Sugriva also gives orders that every Vanara should be standing at their designated gate and fighting, and if someone is running away, they would be killed. Now Ravana, he looks at Kumbha-Nikumbha, who are Kumbhakarna's sons. He also sends Yupaksha, Sonitaksha, Prajangha, and Kampana. These 4 also start along with the sons of Kumbhakarna. They now go for the fight. As they come out, they start, raining arrows on all the Vanaras. The speed with which they were coming, it was like really unbearable. Initially, Rakshasas were having a slight upper hand, but then Vanaras quickly recuperate and they start attacking. So the war comes out in full flow. As I told you, right? Kampana, Prajangha, Sonitaksha, Yupaksha, Kumbha-Nikumbha are all the people who have come out. So a lot of them are there. So first of all, Kampana comes and he invites Angada for a fight, and he hits Angada with his huge mace. Angada actually receives a huge shot and then he slightly falls back. Angada recovers in a few minutes. He picks up a hillock and he throws onto Kampana, and Kampana dies immediately. The moment Kampana is done, Sonitaksha quickly comes towards Angada, and now he starts using different types of arrows to hit Angada. Kshurama, Kshuraprama, Naracha, Vatsadanta, Silimukha, Karna, Selya, Vipatha. These are the different types of arrows which he uses. Angada, he is in a shock, he is getting hit in all sides, but still he doesn't leave. He still keeps fighting, but then he still goes and he breaks the dhanush of Sonitaksha. He breaks the chariot, he breaks all the arrows. Then Sonitaksha quickly picks out a sword and a shield and he starts fighting. Angada jumps, he takes away the sword and he pins Sonitaksha down. He inserts the sword into the shoulder of him. Now that he has injured Sonitaksha enough, Angada now moves on to the other warriors. In the meantime, Yupaksha, he comes and he starts fighting with Angada. In the meantime, Sonitaksha also gains consciousness. He also comes back and he starts fighting Angada. So Angada is now surrounded by 2 fighters. In the meantime, another guy called Prajangha. So we have 3 people who are fighting Angada right now. One is Sonitaksha, Yupaksha, and Prajangha. All 3 are fighting. Looking that it's becoming a 3-1 match. Mainda and Dvivida, who are Vanara generals, they quickly join Angada. So three Rakshasas, 3 Vanaras. The fight goes to the peaks. The fight starts and it reaches the pinnacle. The Yupaksha keeps showering so many arrows that he breaks away anything that Angada is throwing at him. The trees, the hillocks, everything that Angada is throwing, he is hitting. Sonitaksha is doing the same thing to Mainda and Dvivida. So like this, all three are fighting with each other. Prajangha is neutralizing every attack of Angada. Angada then waits for Prajangha to come near him, and once he's there, he takes a huge tree and he hits him with that. Actually, Prajangha takes his sword and comes down to fight, but with that shot, Prajangha falls down, and Prajangha then takes out his fist and he hits Angada so strongly that Angada is immobile for a second, and then Angada quickly regains his consciousness and he immediately separates the neck and the head of Prajangha. So that way, Prajangha is dead. So Kampana and Prajangha both were killed by Angada. In the meantime, Yupaksha comes fighting, and he is fighting with Dvivida. So Dvivida and Yupaksha are having a huge fight. In the interim, Sonitaksha also enters there and hits Dvivida on his chest. Dvivida gets very angry. He takes a huge mace. Mainda also comes and he hits Yupaksha on his chest. Sonitaksha and Yupaksha, they both have a huge fight with Dvivida and Mainda for a lot of time. In the meantime, Dvivida gets the better of Sonitaksha. He tears down Sonitaksha's face with his bare hands and then he throws him onto the ground. That way, Sonitaksha is dead. Mainda gets very angry. He is fighting Yupaksha. He takes Yupaksha into his hands, sort of hug, and in that he ensures that he cannot breathe. That way, he kills Yupaksha. So, with all these four people dead, Prajangha is dead, Yupaksha is dead, Kampana, Prajangha, Yupaksha, and Sonitaksha. With all of these people dead, the Rakshasena goes towards Kumbha. He starts showering arrows on the Vanara Sena. See, initially he fights Dvivida. Dvivida falls down. He loses his consciousness. He falls down. Mainda throws a lot of boulders, trees, and all on Kumbha, but none of them are of any use. Kumbha is breaking everything, and after some time, when Mainda is not able to attack for a second, Kumbha quickly uses one arrow and he ensures that Mainda loses consciousness. Angada, who is seeing this, he sees that both his Matulas, Matula is mother's brother, have fallen to the arrows of Kumbha. Angada now goes and fights Kumbha. Kumbha uses different types of iron arrows, which hurt Angada like very badly, and Angada would be still pushing out a lot of trees and mountains on Kumbha, but Kumbha is breaking everything. Kumbha uses his arrows and hits Angada on the top of Angada's eyebrows. So the blood was coming from the top. Just imagine, just above the eyebrow he hits. So the blood was falling into the eyes, and Angada was not able to open his eyes. He falls down, but then he closes his eyes with one hand, and with the other hand he picks a huge tree, and that he throws on Kumbha. Kumbha breaks the tree, and because for a long time Angada was fighting, he falls down. And once Angada falls down, the Vanaraviras go and inform Rama, saying that Angada has fell down. Then SriRamachandra orders Jambavanta and others to go and take care of Kumbha. They all go together, but then Kumbha again prevails over all of them. At this particular point of time, Sugriva sees that his elder brother's son, the Yuvaraja, is being hit by Kumbha. He quickly goes there and he pulls Angada towards safety, and then he starts the fight. Again, Sugriva also rains trees on Kumbha, but Kumbha breaks everything. Now Sugriva, who was looking at all this, all of a sudden, in a single jump, goes quite near to Kumbha, and he takes away the Dhanush from Kumbha's hand and he breaks it. And then he says, "Oh Kumbha, I really love the way you are fighting. The speed with which you are releasing arrows, it's great. And the way you are fighting is making me remember Ravana. You are equal to Ravana in that particular aspect. There are a lot of Vanaraviras who are children, Prahlada, Bali, Indra, Kubera, Varuna, but O Kumbha, you are the only one who is like your father. Kumbha's father is Kumbhakarna. So your father also was very adept. Ravana had tapashakti to get his weapons. Your father had the physical body with which he was fighting a lot. Looking at you, I am remembering your father. But O Kumbha, rest for some time. You have been fighting for a long time now. Once you come back from rest, you will see what Sugriva is." And then Kumbha, he doesn't take that advice seriously. He again gets ready to fight, and Kumbha immediately starts engaging Sugriva on face to face, and they both are now fighting fist to fist. They are having a hand to hand combat here. Okay, and Sugriva immediately raises Kumbha. He pushes him up. Okay, and then he throws him into the sea. the way Sugriva throws, the waves go very, very high, and the Samudra's wave go as high as Vindhya Parvata. That's the speed with which Sugriva has thrown him. Okay, but then Kumbha again comes back and he starts hitting Sugriva, and the way he hits Sugriva on the chest, it breaks Sugriva's armor and it goes and hits Sugriva's bones. And then Sugriva becomes very angry. He also closes his fist, and with that he hits Kumbha on his chest. And that one shot, it would take away Kumbha. He falls down on the land. Okay, and then he falls down, and the moment Kumbha is dead, Nikumbha, who is his brother, he comes into the fight, and he starts putting different arrows and all, seeing that Sugriva and all are very, very tired, and no Vanara would actually be wanting to come out and fight him. So that's where Swami Hanuman comes out and says, I'll handle this guy. And then the speed with which Hanuman starts attacking Nikumbha. So Nikumbha and Hanuman, they have a very serious fight. It lasts for quite some time. Every Vanaravira was actually running away from Nikumbha because he has a huge pariga with which he can attack anyone and kill a lot of people in one go. So that's why all the Vanaras and Rakshasas are going away. Hanuman goes ahead, he shows his chest. Nikumbha quickly takes that pariga and he throws it on Hanuman. It injures Hanuman like anything. Hanuman also is slightly disoriented for a second. In a minute he comes back, okay, and then he tightens his fist, and then he goes and hits Nikumbha on his chest. Okay, that one shot would ensure that Nikumbha's armory is broken, and the amount of blood that was coming out, it was compared with Meghe Vidyudivo Titha. That's what Maharshi Valmiki says. So the shot with which it was hit, the blood was coming in such a way that there is a thunder, and then you see a huge rain coming out. The moment he hits it, Nikumbha is fallen. Hanuman relaxes for a second. Nikumbha quickly comes and he catches hold of Hanuman and he tries to take him back into Lanka. Hanuman, while he was being caught in the hands and raised by Nikumbha, Hanuman hits Nikumbha very, very hard with his fist, and then Nikumbha leaves him. He comes down, and then Swami Hanuman puts Nikumbha down on him and jumps onto him, and he hits very hard on the chest. As Nikumbha has fallen down, Swami Hanuman separates the head from the rest of the body. That's how he plucks it away from the rest of the body, and that's how Nikumbha meets his end. Now that Nikumbha also died, Ravana is now fuming. He just doesn't understand as to what is happening to his army. Everyone who is going to fight SriRamachandra and Lakshmana, or for that matter Vanarasena, all of them are dying. Ravana looks at this and he realizes that he has to do something completely different now. He goes to Makaraksha. Makaraksha is son of Khara, and he says, "Oh Khara, go and fight." Makaraksha says, "I'm very, very happy. You are giving me an opportunity to go and do this fight. So I'm very, very happy." And he gets his own army. Then when he's starting, he says, "My orders are to kill both SriRamachandra and Lakshmana. That's what Ravana has ordered me to do. So I'm going to start." And he says, "I'm going to kill everyone. I have enough strength to kill everyone." But again, he sees all sorts of bad omens. The charities will have a sort of whip in their hands, right? So that falls down. His dhwaja of the Radha, that also comes down. But then he leaves all that. The horses were crying as they were bringing him, but he does not care for all of that. And he gets into the war, and his army also says, "No, I am first. Or saying this, all of them, when they would come into the fight, the Devadano Sangrama restarts here. Means the Devadano Sangrama is a metaphor for saying it's between Vanaras and Rakshasas, right? And Rakshasas are very, very upbeat because Makaraksha is here. Makaraksha starts releasing thousands of arrows on these Vanaras. The Vanaras sort of go back. Makaraksha and the Rakshasas think that that's the opportunity to shine. At this point of time, Makaraksha goes towards Sriramachandra and says, "I need to fight you. That's why I have come here." And he says, "Yatada dandakaranye pitram hatavan moham tadugrata swakarmastam drushta roshobhivarde." My father did no harm to you, but still you killed my father. Looking at this, I'm getting very, very angry, and for all these days I did not see you. Had I seen you, I would have taken the revenge long back, but today I'm seeing you. I'm not going to leave you." Saying this, he starts the fight. Sri Ramachandra says, "Don't worry. Why are you talking like a person who is not a Shura? You should fight in the battlefield. You should not talk in the battlefield. Yes, I killed 14,000 Rakshasas in Dandakaranya. I killed your father Trisirasa and Doshana also. If you want, come." we can have a fight. Makaraksha immediately leaves many arrows onto Sriramachandra. Sriramachandra breaks all of them, and then both of them start using the astras. So there was a huge fight that goes on between both of them. All sorts of astras were used. In the meantime, all the devatas, they started watching from the skies, thinking that this is a very interesting thing that is happening. So we'll have to see. So every astra of Makaraksha, Sri Ramachandra was giving the counter astra for every arrow of Makaraksha. Sri Ramachandra was producing a counter arrow. In this way, Sri Ramachandra was neutralizing every power of Makaraksha. And then Sri Ramachandra breaks the chariot. He kills the horses, and the chariot is also not there. So Makaraksha, he takes a shula and he starts fighting with Sri Ramachandra. He uses that shula on Sri Ramachandra. Sri Ramachandra looks at it. He breaks that. All the devatas and manavas and rakshas, they say, great, you have done a great thing, oh Sri Ramachandra. Makaraksha comes closer and says, no, we'll fight hand to hand. Come and fight. And then he also takes out his. He says, oh Sri Ramachandra, don't run away. I'm here to fight you. Sri Ramachandra also says, okay. And then he uses Astra on Makaraksha, and that one Astra that kills Makaraksha, he falls down. And the moment Ravana gets to know that Makaraksha is dead, he again is very sad. Now let us see what Ravana is going to do after Makaraksha's death in our next episode. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pasyantu, ma kaschid dukha bhag bhavet, sarvam siddhi sai smaraswam charana arvindar pranamastu swasti. Jai Shri Ram.